Hi everybody, I am excited to present my finalized e-learning project to you all. My motivation for creating this website came from my observations and experience in the English classroom. I found that students often are restricted to paper and pencil activities and assignments in creative writing classes, which makes the writing process an individualized activity rather than a collaborative effort. To change this, I set a goal to create a hybrid creative writing unit that would encourage further collaboration via student sharing of work and constructive feedback on blog pages or modules as we have in this class. In addition, I wanted to have resources and materials related to the unit to focus student attention and work. I wanted to create a website that was easy to navigate and contain resources that would further my students' understanding of the writing process. So I decided to break down my website's pages based on the writing process. As you can see here, planning and pre-writing comes first, drafting and editing, revising, and final product comes last. Initially, I started off with just these pages dedicated to the writing process. But then, as I continued to work on this website, I expanded and added more pages to make my website more of an online community. As you can see, that included a syllabus page, technology policy and etiquette, participation policy, class blog, student work, and then finally, of course, the writings and resources page. As you can see on this homepage, I created, and actually this runs throughout my entire website, there is a search box here, a quick follow button. On the right hand side of every page there's also this Goodreads feed, which I really like because not only is this recommended reading, but ultimately what I want to do with this is if a student of mine sees a book here that they really are interested in, I want to be able to have this in my classroom so the next day they can come in and pick up this book which they found off of this feed here. And then finally on the bottom of all of my pages, I have my contact information for my students. I'm just going to show you briefly each page that I've created on the website. This syllabus page resembles the syllabus page that you often find on the websites that we take online. So I just have a picture of myself, information about me, my location, a unit description for my students, the standards and goals that I will be meeting with this particular creative writing unit, how I organize my website and the unit itself, the grading policy, assessments, a rubric, because ultimately at the end of this unit my students are going to be able to create a short story and then a screencast as well. So I have the short story rubric here, grading scale, and then the syllabus itself, which includes, of course, the dates, the activities, and then the materials and resources. So that runs throughout this page. My next page I have is technology, policy, and etiquette. And what I found is that although students interact often on social media, sometimes they really don't know how to interact on classroom websites and these types of online communities. So what I've created here is just a list of the tools that are necessary to use this website, to use the hybrid course. And then I also have my expectations, terms and conditions, what I'm expecting from my students, how they should be behaving online in this community, and also how they should make sure that they're being responsible in this online environment. So this I have for my students to print out, have them and their parents sign. I have a participation policy because it differs from what I expect in my classroom. This also includes academic integrity and copyright laws online, so that's sometimes a confusing area that students do not understand. From here we move to the planning and pre-writing page. On this page you will find resources that I've created, some outlines. So this is pretty much supposed to supplement my in-class instruction. So I explain what we went over in class, and then I have, in this particular screencast, my expectations for a worksheet that I created for them to begin their planning process. I then have a pre-writing screencast, which this explains a tool that I want them to use to begin their pre-writing, and then also they need to post this storyboard that I explained to them here on the student work page. My next page is drafting and editing. This is probably one of my favorite pages just because I was able to compile a lot of resources for my students. I have some information about how to use Google Docs to draft, reading resources, so this is actually an ebook copy of a text we read in class, editing using SoundCloud, which if you're an English teacher or even just any teacher in general in any discipline, have your students record their writing and then listen back to it, because that's the best way. Once they process that, they're listening to it, they're able to know areas that need improvement, because typically you're able to pick up on errors through speech easier than through writing if you haven't mastered that area yet. So I break down editing into areas that I find my students really struggle with. That's commas. So I have YouTube videos, TED Talks. I also have links to helpful websites. And then references. My next page is revising and final product. Once again, I bring up Google Docs. You'll see that in a second. But then I have a writer's checklist for them to focus on that I created with the short story in mind and the writing process in mind. And then a screencast about tracking changes on Google Docs. And then I like this because I created a poll for my students to enter when they would like to meet with me to conference before they submit their short story. And I think that this is a great way to compile information from my students. My next page is a class blog. Unfortunately, it doesn't work as well as what we have set up on eCollege. Of course, this is through WordPress. But I like this because I was able to create several prompts that I think would interest my students. I explained that they could create their own WordPress account instead of posting their responses and comments just through the comments box, because they would have to go down here and do that, which isn't ideal, especially when you're used to using eCollege or Sakai, which is just great for collaboration. So I gave them that opportunity. I think that this is great just for what I've created here, and it would help facilitate, in a way, collaboration compared to when students don't have any access to these resources online. Next, I have a student work page, which of course I haven't been able to use this website yet, so I just posted some models for my students. So I have a sample response to a prompt, and then this was the storyboard activity I was discussing earlier with you, and then of course a sample comment. And then my final page. This I really like because it has a bunch of resources, a Twitter page that I created, and then of course a bunch of other resources here for my students to use. I have the links linked in just by clicking here, but then of course the actual links, so if students needed to copy and paste it, they could do so. And that's it. I'm really proud of this website. I spent a lot of time on it, and I'm excited because I'm going to be using this hopefully in the fall. And if you have any questions about this website, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.